focusing more outside of the convention center, not going deep dive into off-site specifically, although we are going to touch on those specifically, or particularly some kind of philosophies and things like that, but not talking about like, what HBO does or what is this, we'll give it a little bit of general there, but more about things that are just happening outside of the convention center area. So first up with that, just want to hit on the idea that again this year, following up what people felt was very successful last year, is they are going to be closing down right here on Harbor in front of the convention center. So make sure if you do not have a badge one of the days that you plan accordingly, because really it doesn't impact people except for giving more room to walk that have badges. But for those without badges, it is kind of an obstacle to get around if you want to come over, let's say, to the Hilton Bayfront area and you're coming from the Hard Rock. You're going to have to take that pedestrian bridge or something else along those ways. So do be advised to kind of keep an eye on that if you're not an attendee for all of the days of the con. Also with that, want to just talk generally about off-sites. Is in general, it's really important to understand that off-sites normally are not really great at operations, meaning the whole getting people in and getting people out. It takes theme parks a lot of times weeks or months to get an attraction really running right with capacity and things like that. And these things are put together, a lot of times the night before they open, sometimes the morning of opening. They have temporary employees that are there for the weekend or that have some other job in the company that are there running it, and they're just trying to do the best they can. So make sure if you're going to do some of these really popular off-sites, if you're going to do the Amazons of the world and some of these big movie studios that come, TV shows, things like that, just make sure to understand going into it that probably the operations are going to be really hit and miss, and in many cases they're not going to probably have the capacity that you would love for them to have. So it's important to kind of understand that, and again, we'll plug it throughout everything we do this season, from podcasts to videos, is make sure to use social media, make sure to communicate with people. Everything at Comic-Con is about perseverance of keep trying and then networking, being able to talk to people. And so having kind of a team of people that you can talk to, even if it's just online, can go a long way. So make sure to kind of keep those things in mind. And by Friday, after Thursday opens, you should have a pretty good idea of what offsites are running better and which are running worse. There's some that you really might want to get into, but you just say, what, I'm not willing to spend the 7 hours to try to get into that particular offsite. So be aware, know what they are before you get into them. So with that said, let's start moving around and talk more about the outside of Comic-Con. All right, we've made our way over to kind of the Hall A area. You can see the convention center behind me here. First thing up over in this area, I want to talk just about taking the trolley in, coming in on that train there. One very common mistake that attendees make that want to get down to kind of that everything else line or Hall H line down at the end is getting off at the call of Convention Center. And Convention Center drops you off over here by Hall A, which, is fine and you can make the walk, but it is a long walk, all things considered, of starting your day to make your way down to the lineup there if you're here in the morning. So ideally you want to get off at the gas lamp stop there. And I know that's something I think the very first time we were coming in that way, we made that mistake. It's like, okay, we all jumped off and then we're like, oh wait, why didn't we get off down that way? So if you are coming in via that train, consider that again, unless you want to do something here, or maybe you want to do some of the off-site type stuff here. So over in that Marriott area, lots of things going on. Now, as we're recording this, it has not been all released by Comic-Con exactly of what they have going on over there, but we know things like normally the fulfillment room is over there. If you're picking up swag from panels, you get the ticket, that is a place to go. Now, we'll talk in a separate video kind of about strategies for swag, and one of the parts of that is just panels haven't been a great place for swag in many years, but we'll talk about that in a separate one. But if you do get one of those rare tickets for some cool stuff, you're going to head on over there most likely. They also do things there. We've had Nintendo taking up shop over there, for a Universe doing their show, a variety of programming. One thing, or maybe the most important thing, is just really study all of the information as it comes out, as it's presented. There's always going to be changes, little things, big things. You want to make sure to take all of that in and make sure you're really comfortable with it. Also, we want to note, just last year we talked about the introduction of all the kind of electric scooters in the area. They're available all over the place. Right over here from where we're recording, there is a whole fleet of them. Now, one of the things in the MLK Parkway here, they have all sorts of signage, some of it permanent and some of it temporary, saying nothing of that sort is to be going there. That's pedestrian only. That said, in about 5 minutes here after a Padres game, we saw at least a dozen scooters flying by. So if you're, checking it out, I'm guessing there's going to be more security or police enforcement around there. So this probably isn't going to be a way to cut through as fast anymore. You might have to take that scooter around or just do it the old-fashioned way of walking through there. And then last thing we want to hit in this little segment here is just the idea of kind of pacing yourself with all of the things on the outside area and remembering the time. As we're shooting this part, we are now across the tracks here, and getting across the tracks can take some time, be it because of the trains coming through or just the crowds in general. Over the last, I'd say about 4 or 5 years ago, it really ramped up. It's just all of this area. There's all sorts of vendors that have come in that are selling water and soda and food, and some of them kind of just doing their own little like swap meet presentations over here, sometimes selling comic books and things like that. So there can be some fun giveaways going on too, some officially, companies out here. Like we saw Godzilla going around with their team and doing some fun little giveaways and things like that, Gotham, etc. But a lot of this area is if you're kind of discount shopping, but also be careful because there's a lot of people kind of in your face trying to get you to buy things as well. Either way, it gets really crowded here, whether people are flying along with the electric vehicles or not. It can take a long time to just go from Hall A down on this side. And now because of the closures on Harbor that we started having last year, it can be even quicker to cross over there than it is over here sometimes. Obviously, anybody without a badge can't be crossing over there, so they're all kind of relegated to this side of the tracks, and sometimes it can go slower than you might first think. All right, we've made our way over here in front of the Hilton Bayfront. We're right beside the convention center. I want to just touch on a couple things real quick. So one, we always point out that obviously there's a big advantage if you're able to take breaks outside of the convention center on this side of the tracks, meaning not having to mess with the trolley tracks and the huge crowds that gather there. Definitely beneficial. That said, this area has gotten more and more crowded over the years, and as we're recording this today, it's just announced that Marvel is coming back to Comic-Con Hall H presence, so we know that always creates even more of a stir kind of in this area as we get closer to the the Hall H side and all that. Generally, this whole area has been taken over by FX the last few years, and then Adult Swim behind that, which have been fun offsites, kind of open air, particularly FX, lots of different types of activations to be able to interact with and all of that. That said, we don't know as of recording if they are coming back, but it does kind of make the whole area a little bit more crowded. I feel like this is one of those tips that over the years, or one of those areas that we talk about that kind of has eroded in value, but we still do find value with it. And honestly, we find the most value probably over in this area, because as silly as it sounds, just a lot of those benches end up still being open during Comic-Con, and we're able to just kind of hang out. Also, more and more of the hotels in the area have found ways to capitalize outside of the hotel. So for example, the Bayfront, the Omni, etc., they'll have little stands set up outside selling hot dogs, hamburgers, things like that. They're not the best prices in the world, and they're not the best food in the world, but they're okay on both fronts when all things are considered of time and all of that. So a few times we've grabbed food at some place like the little stand here, eat over there. For us, part of kind of staying healthy, I think maybe mentally of the con, is we change up our environment quite a bit. We don't usually plant ourselves in a panel room all day. We don't really stay just on the floor. We really try to get outside, inside, upstairs, downstairs, and just trying to kind of move and kind of keep ourselves just moving through different types of experiences. A lot of times we keep track of the rows because we want to hit all of them, and we keep track of them just on a notepad in my phone, and it's like we make sure to hit all of them, but we'll hit them in different clumps. We'll do 200 through 600, and then come back and do 13 to 1500 and things like that. So I think some of that variety can help a little bit, particularly for the new con attendees where this is all extremely overwhelming. And I always think, like, if I was coming to Comic-Con for the first time this year, how much more overwhelming it would be, because I have had time to acclimate since 2005 attending, and I've seen it kind of grow and get crazy. And I remember the old days, but I don't know if I just showed up this year how I would even take it all in that first time. But it's a lot, and out here, so it gives you a little bit more space, but it still is pretty hectic all the way around. Now, as we look across the street, you have the Hard Rock over there, you've got the Omni, and one of the things we've noticed with all of the hotels, though, kind of in the area, is they are pushing a little bit more to try and get people to either pay to be inside or to stay outside. And Hard Rock, they remove all their seating in the lobby area the day works. We're always down here usually the Monday, Tuesday before the con, and we'll see there's nice places to kind of sit in the lobby for check-in, or just if you want to go eat at Mary Jane's or whatever, and hang out and get your group together to use the restroom first or whatever. But all that kind of gets moved away. Sometimes they even limit checking key cards and things like that out front. So it's nice that there are things that have been added kind of to the outsides of some of these hotels, but do be aware some of them are are limiting access more and more, we find each year. So your mileage may vary depending on what hotels you're checking out. Now, in regards back to FX being here and Adult Swim, not knowing as of this recording if they'll be here for sure. One thing though that we really find is everything at Comic-Con, it's like it's always there until it's not there. And I think WB's presence with DC in Hall H this year is a good example of that. You just kind of figure that's going to be there, just like we figure FX will be there, and then all of a sudden it's not there and things change, and you see that all the time. Now with Fox being owned and FX being owned by Disney, it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out, if we will get that outside presence, and if not, this is a big chunk of land here relative to the convention center area. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what might come in if and when that eventually leaves Comic-Con. So with that said, it gives a little bit of an idea to some of the opportunities here. There are some great spots to eat inside there. We do like Bella, again, a little overpriced, but it's nice, full service restaurant. We've seen lots of celebrities in there over the years. In general, I think the Bayfront is probably the place we've seen the most celebrities. Maybe that and Hard Rock, the lobby, just kind of wandering around. And also on the Bay Area here, you've got, TV Guide, you've got IMDb doing their interviews, and you're constantly seeing celebrities kind of wander in and out. So if you ever want to just kind of stargaze, these are all good spots for it, and also get you out of the convention center. All right, behind us here we have Petco, obviously the stadium there, as well as what's been called most years in the past the Petco Interactive Zone. Now last year, Grand Design came in and they did the experience at San Diego Comic-Con. It sounds like this year they're giving it back to Petco, and so I would imagine we're going to see an interactive zone a little bit more like what we saw in 2016, 2017. Either way though, all the way around, it's been very much kind of a hodgepodge of different intellectual properties coming in, different companies doing things. Some years really amazing, some years not so much. Definitely follow along and to see what is going to be there, and then kind of scope out. We'll be here the days before the con giving you updated photos, videos, all of that, what's being built. You can kind of decide if it's worth your time. Do make sure with all offsites to know ahead of time, do they require a badge for entry? Does a badge give you priority? And then obviously wherever you're at, you want to know, do you have a badge? Do you not have a badge? In kind of planning things out. The last thing you want to do is show up somewhere, wait in line, and find out that you have low priority or no priority because you don't have a badge. You can follow along with a lot of that stuff over at OutsideComicCon.com as well as SDCCblog.com. They keep those offsite lists and they will monitor those things. Obviously, you can tweet and message as well there. That said, we always really like checking out the Petco Interactive Zone, although there's a ton of great offsites all the way around Comic-Con, particularly the last couple of years. It's always kind of fun in that interactive zone there just because you have so many in kind of this one space there. That said, do make sure to understand all of the offsites get their busiest and craziest as you go into Saturday, because all of the locals that really don't know much about Comic-Con don't have badges, but they have Saturday off, they have Sunday off, they just want to check some things out. They make their way down here, and you notice it's very kind of different than like particularly Thursday, but even Friday. There's a lot more families, a lot of little ones, a lot of people that really aren't here for the con, but they just know there's some crazy cool stuff going on down here at the convention center. So it's tough. I know we always had a tough time breaking away from the con itself and the floor on a Thursday or Friday to come out here, but usually those are about the best times all the way around, particularly Friday morning, because Thursday you can kind of get a read via social media of how things are working. You know what's going on. If there's anything that didn't open Thursday, or if there's particularly kinks, sometimes they're worked out by Friday. So a lot of times we try to identify somewhere in that Friday, that first half of the day, to really kind of hit this area and spend some decent time in these hours, and then just making our way around the entire convention center area and hitting any of those offsites that we can. There's so much fun. You really could have a fantastic time at San Diego Comic-Con with ever stepping foot in the convention center. That said, the convention center, the floor, exhibitor hall itself is kind of our happy place. It's where we have the most fun. So it's kind of hard for us sometimes to make the real concerted effort to get out here. But again, Thursday and Friday are a lot of times the best target dates, and make sure you know in advance whether or not you need a badge or if a badge plays any part in entry to any of these events. All right, so as we come into our last segment here, just want to kind of stress a couple last things that are more like big picture things, not even just specific to outside Comic-Con things, but just in general when it comes to Comic-Con. So part of that, going back to that whole perseverance and networking, is everything here takes a lot of effort, and everything here is enhanced by being able to communicate and being able to kind of outsource or crowdsource your questions and things like that. So when it comes to all things, particularly if we're even thinking about just off-sites and like the amount of time that they might take, capacity, all of that, you're not going to be able to find that really anywhere just kind of on a website. This isn't something like a Disneyland or some theme park where it's going to be posted of, we can find an article of how many per hour are able to do something. So it really comes back to checking out social media. I mean, obviously we will be sharing things on social media. SDCC, unofficial blog, will be sharing all sorts of things outside Comic-Con, etc. as we find them. But sometimes you come across those things that are a real jewel. So for example, to kind of give a compare and contrast, for me, when it comes to offsites, the biggest things I'm looking for is high capacity, interactive experiences, and swag. If you have all three of those things, it's like heaven to me in terms of that. So last year at the Purge, their party store, they did all of those. It was high capacity. They were able to give you something to be able to buy some stuff. They gave you Purge bucks, but also inside there was different actors to interact with, and there's lots of fun things there. So by being able to combine those factors, to me, it was a total winner. One of my favorite offsites ever. Contrasting that though, on the other side, they had some awesome interactive experiences over at Jack Ryan over with Amazon. They had some awesome swag that you could get, but capacity was so rough over there, particularly when we're talking about like the escape room experience there. And so by being able to check in, we saw so many people saying, oh, I spent 7 hours in line for this, and different offsites. Game of Thrones, somebody told us like over 10 hours they had waited or something. Whatever it is, point being is really try to watch social media to know, ask around, ask people to retweet, whatever. What are the wait times looking like, and how easy is it to get into something? And then you kind of weigh that in, because everything is about opportunity costs. Lastly, remember to take care of yourself. It sounds silly, it sounds like a lame thing, but the food, the water, the sleep, you've got to find a way to balance those things out. I always pride myself. Every year I think, oh, I'm gonna, jinx myself or whatever, but in doing this for like 15 years of never getting sick, never really getting run down, of being ready on Monday after Comic-Con to be like, hey, let's go to Disneyland, and we go all out, but we definitely make sure to get in at least enough sleep. And again, you know yourself of what you need, but also watch for your group, because a lot of times people will be good at taking care of themselves in those factors, but maybe they don't know that somebody else that they're with needs a little more sleep, a little bit more food, a little more rest, water, whatever it might be. So watch for all of those things as well. So with that being said, follow along with us. We will be on the ground more than ever this year for San Diego Comic-Con, watching all sorts of build updates in the weeks to come, doing all sorts of things, sharing any tips that we can find there. Follow along on all the websites, parksandcons.com, outsidecomiccon.com, SDCCblog.com, and we'll have lots to share with you. So until next time, we'll see you in line somewhere.